Coach Fisher is standing by. The national championship game tonight between Michigan and Villanova. And I know that a lot of people are already wondering what this must be like for Coach Fisher, given that he won a national championship at Michigan and recruited the Fab Five.
Right.
And I guess that there's like a whole bunch of, I guess the relationship is not really great. And it's not between Coach Fisher and the school, as I understand it. It's more just that team and that era and the school. It's kind of like the way Reggie Bush isn't really accepted at USC in a weird kind of way. You know, and those of us who know and love Coach Fisher find that hard to believe. And then there's that whole weird Chris Webber thing. And for those of you that don't know all about this, you can probably read about it if you care. But I wonder what it is like for Coach Fisher watching Michigan get ready to play in the national championship game tonight. Here's the former Aztec great coach, Steve Fisher, back on Scott and BR on the Mighty 1090. Hi, Coach.
Hello there, and congratulations on 17 years together. That's fantastic. Very happy for you and proud of you.
Appreciate that, Coach. Thank you.
It's pretty crazy, Coach. I mean, a buddy of mine just texted me and said, I've been working at the same company 21 years. 17 years is a long, long time to be working in a place and with the same core crew.
Yep.
17 years, Coach. That is a long time. Yes, it is.
It certainly is. And I will say, job well done.
Well, thank you, Coach.
So
Thank
sweet.
you very much.
We do. Coach, how was being down at the Final Four in San Antonio and, more specifically, being around Michigan and a school that you coached to a national title?
I think every year when you go to the Final Four, if you're a coach, you run into people you haven't seen since last year. And with me, with Michigan being in the Final Four, there were a lot of people that I hadn't seen since 2013 when their last trip was there. And then there were a lot of other people that I hadn't seen since I left Michigan over 20 years ago. So it happened that the seats that I had, and I've had phenomenal seats the last 7-8 years, these are courtesy of the NABC, our association, and Jim Haney, the head of the association, and a variety of us do things for the NABC. So I was there with a host of other coaches. I sat next to Lon Kruger, Bo Ryan was there, Lute Olson was there, Gene Cady, and on and on. But right to my left, 4 seats down, was Kathleen Beeline, Coach Beeline's wife, with all their kids, sons and daughters, and their kids. So I was right in the middle of the Michigan section, and that in itself led to many people coming down, some of whom I had no idea who they were. Some of them I knew, some of them I remembered, some of them I, kind of remembered, some of them I didn't want to remember. But a lot of people that came down said hello, and it was kind of neat.
Coach, I think that sounds really cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
Those of us in San Diego who know you and love you and know and love what you did for the San Diego State basketball program, we have a perception of you, and I suppose that on some level the perception might be different in Ann Arbor. What is that like? Is it? I read the article today where it was described that you were perhaps even a bit uncomfortable. Is that an accurate description of you around the Michigan folks?
No, I don't think so. I don't think I would use that term, uncomfortable. I had 16 years there. 8 as an assistant, 8 as the head coach. I had great memories from that time. It didn't end the way I wanted it to, but I had great memories from it. And I think most people that know me and know Angie and our family have great memories of us with Michigan and at Michigan with the basketball program. So those are both of the people that I saw, and it was neat to kind of reconnect and see them and talk about old times a little bit. It ranged from a regent who remains a regent, who is a dear friend, but I haven't seen him in 20 years, to the mayor of Detroit, Mike Duggan, and his wife, who came down. And he and I were very good friends, and I hadn't seen or talked to him in a long time. So a host of others, and So I would say, for the most part, it was all good.
Yeah, Coach, I also have been reading that the current Michigan coach, who you mentioned earlier, John Beilein, that he says that eventually Michigan will somehow honor your teams, the Fab Five teams, that somehow they're going to find a way to get that fixed and worked out. Is that something that's important to you?
You know what, Scott, I don't give it a lot of thought. I'll be real honest with you. I told Ziegler or told someone, I haven't been back to Michigan. The last time I was back to Michigan was when Bo Schembechler died. I went back for his funeral. So I haven't been back. I haven't been back on campus. I haven't been into the arena. I know they've done a lot of things to update it. So I don't give that a great deal of thought. I think about our players, and it's Final Four time, everybody talks about it. And the memories I have are all the wonderful things that were accomplished there that we were all a part of. From 1989 and the bizarre circumstances when I took over for Bill Freer before the tournament. We won 6 games to win the national championship, and all the ripple along with that. We've talked about it. Go to the White House, I was at the White House, to the Fab Five, and all the things that happened there. Back-to-back national championship games when they were freshmen and then sophomores, and came within an eyelash of going the next year when we lost to Arkansas in the Elite Eight. Those kinds of memories, but even more important, the players and the people and what they are doing now. You look at the players that were on that team, from Chris Webber to Jalen Rose to Juwan Howard to Jimmy Jackson to Jimmy King, Ray Jackson. They've gone on and accomplished great things, and I'm immensely proud of all of them. And I saw Ray Jackson for the first time in a long time at the game. I talked to Chris Webber right before I came in. I talked to Jalen. So those are the neat things that we're able to do and have that common bond together. So we'll see what happens. I've got great regard for John Beilein. Not only is he an exceptional basketball coach, but he's a better person who cares about people. And he and his wife, Kathleen, and Angie and I have gotten to know one another socially on the Nike trip when we go places. So it's kind of a byproduct of everything that goes on in sports.
We're talking to Coach Steve Fisher, who is down in San Antonio this past weekend for the Final Four. We'll get to tonight's championship game in just a second. Coach, you just mentioned seeing Chris Webber, and I have to at least ask. I was under the impression that Webber was sort of the outcast of the group of the Fab Five, and I didn't know if you and he had much relationship now. Was that the first time you'd seen or spoken to Chris in a while, or are you in touch with him?
I didn't see Chris. I talked to him on the phone. I called him, and we spoke. I was inquiring if he was going to come to San Antonio for the tournament. And he recently had twins, so he told me he wasn't coming. But we had a nice visit. He told me that he had just had a really nice long visit with Ray Jackson earlier in the week, and Ray and I talked about that beforehand. So I have contact with Chris with, we don't talk every week, but we talk.
The reason I ask is because, Coach, for so many people, and that's why there's been documentaries, it's why there's been 30 for 30 films, that Fab Five crew of yours and what you guys did or didn't do and what subsequently happened thereafter is such an interesting story for so many of us. It's hard to believe that a group of guys can't all get back together and celebrate what was a really interesting period of time in everybody's lives. And I know you say you don't think much about it, and I never really give it any thought, but it would be nice to get everybody back together and let bygones be bygones and just kind of move on. And that would be nice for the University of Michigan to do the same thing as well and celebrate that era of Michigan basketball for you guys, I think.
I agree with that. I do agree with that. There were some major accomplishments in every area when we were there. And the Fab Five, the things that they accomplished, should be celebrated and should want to be celebrated by Michigan people. And I do think, Scott, that probably they're closer together than most people think. Is it 100%, all 5 of them all the time? Probably not. But as I mentioned with Chris talking to Ray, I think there's dialogue out there, and I think in time, maybe that what you talked about, maybe getting back together to celebrate accomplishments with that basketball group will be the key to getting back together in one place at a particular time. We'll see. This is the 25th anniversary of their sophomore season when we lost the finals to North Carolina. So it's been a long time since that group of guys played there. But every year at this time, over and over and over again, you see the Fab Five documentary on 30 for 30.
Are you saying this is the 25th anniversary of the timeout call?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. All right, I mean, one of the most famous plays in college basketball. Chris Webber calling a timeout when there are no timeouts left in the game, and Michigan winds up losing that game. We're talking to Coach Steve Fisher about his time in San Antonio this past weekend, ironically around his former team, University of Michigan. Coach, so Michigan gets by, and they're in the national championship game. Villanova crushes Kansas. They're in as well. Just curious, you saw all these teams play. How do you handicap tonight's game?
Well, I think Villanova is the best team. And going into the tournament, when I looked and as they started to play, I felt as if they were the best team. And yet, Michigan is playing for the national championship. All you need to be is best for 40 minutes. And if this were a NBA 4 out of 7, I think I would say Villanova is a prohibitive favorite. In a one-game shot, I think anything can happen, and I personally think it will be a really, really close, hard-fought game that will go with 4 minutes to go with either team having a chance to win. The perception, what everybody remembers is what happened on Saturday. And what Villanova did to Kansas is why people are saying, well, Villanova. I remember 1993 when we went to the Final Four, and Kentucky had won their 4 games getting to the Final Four by over 30-point average. And everybody said that no one could come close to beating Kentucky. And we beat Kentucky. So Kentucky was the best team in the tournament. But they didn't win. On that night, we were the best team. So that's what's going to have a lot of us tuning in and watching. And I hope it brings the same excitement and energy that the women's finals did and the semifinals did, and have that kind of craziness happen.
So, Coach, on the record, your pick is Michigan.
No, I didn't say that.
I know you didn't.
I think that I think it's going to be a game that both teams will have either team will have a chance to win as it goes down to the end of the game. I'm not about to predict it. I'm going to leave that up to you guys.
All right, let me ask everybody here a question.
Because we're so good at it.
We're talking to Coach Fisher. Okay.
I have the TV on right now, and I'm watching us win the '89 national championship, though.
Coach, okay. When the U.S. beat the Soviet Union in hockey in 1980, they still had to go on and play one more game to win the gold. Do you recall who they had to play for the gold medal, Coach?
I have no clue. How about Canada?
Great guess. They actually did go on to beat Finland in the gold medal game. Now the reason I ask, Coach, is certainly not to embarrass you, hardly. It's to make a point. So I saw Notre Dame's women's basketball team beat undefeated UConn. This was last week in their Final Four game. And this girl from Notre Dame just is dribbling and creates her own space and nails this shot, and Notre Dame wins the game. Now, after that game, after Notre Dame takes down UConn, the same way the U.S. took down the Soviet Union in 1980, just the same way you didn't know who they beat for the gold medal, I don't even know what happened in the championship game last night other than one team beat another team on a buzzer beater. I'm serious. Does anybody here know who played in the NCAA championship last night with the women?
Yes, you do know. You do know. I know you're kidding.
Okay,
on that.
so
the same girl made a basket to beat Mississippi State. You know that.
Okay, Notre Dame
who beat Connecticut a year ago. at the buzzer. Mississippi
Okay.
State did.
So I'm asking, this is what I'm getting at. Was everybody like me? Once Notre Dame knocked out undefeated UConn, like, to me, that was it. Like, the big guy was knocked out. I was done. Like, for me, that might as well have been the gold medal game. Yeah. I did not even pay attention. And I've had all these friends of mine text me, did you see this game last night between these two women's teams? What a game. What a buzzer beater. One friend of mine was there working the game. He's like, dude, unbelievable. I gotta get more into it, especially these college, ladies.
It depends on where the sexy thing is.
Let me ask you this, Scott.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Coach.
Do you know who Mississippi State beat to get to the finals? And do you know who one of the coaches was on that other team's bench?
No and no. Can I have a hint?
They beat Louisville, right? Louisville's women's team lost to Mississippi State in the semis in overtime. You know who's on that bench coaching and having great impact?
On Louisville?
On Louisville's team.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
I'm going to take a random guess here.
I think you're going to have to.
I'm going to guess Beth Burns, the former Aztec women's coach.
Bing, 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 bing. Right on the money.
No way.
Wow. Well done, Scotty.
Look at that.
Woo.
Well done.
Coach, you practically gave me the answer.
Well done.
I thought you practically gave the answer. All right, well, this is a very good basketball talk that we're having with Coach Steve Fisher tonight. Villanova and Michigan, and Coach says it's going to be a tight game. It's going to come down to the end, and it's going to be anybody's game. Coach, a pleasure to be with you today. Thank you so much.
Fun.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you very much. Appreciate being on with you. Look forward to seeing you at a Padre game as spring rolls into summer.